Okay, welcome. This is Mendy Schreiber, and you have joined the Plan, Prep, and Play for 2020. Pray, not play for 2020. I am really thrilled to have this time. I have my hot tea here ready on my new Mr. Coffee. Uh, this was a gift from my husband for Christmas because I am the slowest coffee drinker, probably the fastest hot tea drinker though, but I'm keeping it warm on this little cool device right here sitting next to my computer. I'm thrilled about it. Okay, so I've got my hot tea ready. Get your document ready if you're attending this live, or if you're attending this via like watching the playback. It doesn't matter. God is here with you and ready to rock it in 2020. I am a sucker for all the planning. I love to dream big. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've also, because of all those failures, learned a ton. And I love just pressing on and listening to God as I dream about new goals and ideas for my family, for my personal life, for our finances, for my business, for ministry. And okay, so I hope you'll join me. Let's start with prayer. Father God, I thank you so much that you are the author of pray. Like you're the author of prayer, of praying, of all things about prayer. And Lord, you are the author of planning. Lord, you have planned out so much. You have set out so much. Lord, you know everything. You know what's happening, what's going to happen, what did happen, why it happened, Lord. And we're just here along for the ride. And we're just thank you for being the author of prepping, like you set all things into motion, Lord. And so we just want to follow in your footsteps and bring honor to your name, and bless you as we dedicate 2020. Lord, as we hand 2020 over to you, it's not ours. It's not our time. It's not our bodies. It's not our life, our family. Like, it is all a blessing from you, given to you, and we want to honor you and that. So bless this time together, Father, as we just think about the dreams that you set in our hearts and how we can actually be doers of the word, like it says in James, and have an active writing experience where we meditate on your presence and write down and make a plan that will be honoring to you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so are you ready? So do you have your document? Actually, what's fun? I like to do this on my iPad. So if you have downloaded the document, then you can do it on paper. Like, also maybe you have a notebook ready if there's not enough space for you. I like to do everything on my iPad. I'm like a sucker for trying to get rid of paper. And so let's get started. And I just got some better lighting. Let's get started. So number one question, the first thing we do in the prep, plan, and pray for the Gospel Centered House, we always look back. I gotta get my iPad pen here. We always look back and reflect. So just to set the mood, try to see if you can lock yourself in the closet, get away from the animals, get away from the children, and have your hot tea ready, and let's just get in the mood. I just prayed. So let's first look back. So because 2019 has already come to a close, what are the things in your life, this is question number one, that you're most grateful for, and that from the past year that you went through? Who and what are you grateful for? Spend about 5 minutes. I'm going to set the clock. Spend about 5 minutes writing and jotting that down. Okay, so what's beautiful, if you're watching the playback of this, what's beautiful about all of it is that you can, sorry, you can start and stop anytime. Like if I have moved on to the next question and you're not quite ready, just push pause. And then if I'm just waiting too long and you have already gotten that question done, you can fast forward. That's what I love about this recording. So the next question is, what goals from 2019 did you accomplish? I love this question. Spend some time thinking about things that you accomplished in 2019 that you had wanted to do. Maybe you didn't spend time last year, like setting some goals down. That's okay. If you didn't write goals down, think about things that you did accomplish and you didn't even have to write them down. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. What worked well? So as we reflect on the things that you did accomplish in 2019, what things like worked well that you did to accomplish those top goals? And then like what celebrations and victories? So be really specific. What worked well? What were some of your top accomplishments, celebrations, and victories? Be very specific. So for instance, I just put followed through. My follow through was really, really good on my goals from last year. However, I have an internship coming up and I think I need to tighten up my time schedule even more than I did last year. And so think about that for just a few minutes. I thought that was muted. Okay, so you can hear my dog in the background. No one else is here. Everybody's at church. Thank goodness I can focus. But then there's the dog. The dog doesn't go to church. So the next thing in this series, if you're following along on your worksheet, would be, was there anything in 2019 that you knew God was asking you to lay down or walk away from? On the other hand, has God also been asking you to do anything specific that you didn't follow through with? So take some time to be really honest with yourself and talk to the Lord and write down anything that God has been asking you to lay down, walk away from, or maybe do. While you do that, I'm going to go let my dog in. I just want to quickly share and be vulnerable with you about what my one thing was that I know God is asking me to really lay down for 2019. I started grad school a couple of years ago. I have 1 year left, and I didn't get the best grades when I was younger. In high school, I was a very average student. I was a lost student, didn't know what I wanted, grew up with a really, really difficult family life. And so in college, I was pretty average as well. I mean, I was better than I was in high school because I kind of had honed in on what I wanted to do. But I have gone to grad school now in my 40s and basically put this really rigid pressure on myself, there's my dog, to get straight A's. And while I think I'm definitely capable of that, I also have 5 children. I also have a husband who owns a business. And so I put a lot of stress on myself to get those straight A's. And so I know that I was so rigid on myself about that it became like not fun. Like I'm really enjoying school, but there were a couple classes where I was getting a lower A and super rigid. So I just want to just tell you that I'm going to go into 2020 still wanting to do my best, but not in a sense of just for the A, but really just to learn and to know the knowledge of what it will be like to be a Christian counselor a year from now. So that is my answer to that question. So there's number 3 here as we keep moving forward. What were a few of your best practices in 2019 that allowed you to achieve success with your goals? For example, what were you really disciplined about? What habits did you practice that allowed you to create success and achieve your goals? So this is something I'm really big on. Obviously, if you know anything about the Gospel-Centered Health, one of our programs is our Gospel-Centered Health Bible study uses the 7-word process and principles as daily discipline for health and happiness and a deeper relationship with Christ. So what disciplines did you do in 2019 to achieve some of your goals? I know you did some. Take a few minutes to write those down. Which of those exact practices do you need to bring into 2020? Still looking at the things you did in 2019 that helped you create success and reaching your goals. Which one of those, maybe they're all of them, that you want to carry into 2020? Okay, so now you need to ask yourself, like, what 2 daily practices can you add into 2020 that will help you grow a deeper understanding of God's purpose in your life? And one thing that I put on mine was that I was going to start each day just reading a Bible verse, just one Bible verse before my feet hit the floor. And maybe it's like as I'm brushing my teeth or as I just get up, like I want to start my day with the Word of God, even if it's just one Bible verse. I'm a big drinker, big water drinker, like we teach in Gospel Centered Health. And so maybe while I'm drinking that water, I'm also reading that verse. That was a big thing for me. So take a few minutes to think about what two new daily practices, 1 to 2, that you can take into 2020. Okay, next section. What trials and spiritual battles did God help you through in 2019? Remember that you are an overcomer because of his strength. What did you overcome in 2019? Take a few minutes to sincerely write that down. Okay, next section. Let's see, where did I go? I lost my space here. Now that 2020 is here, we're on number 6 now. Can you say that there was any physical and emotional state that you are in right now is where you hoped you would be? This is a really hard question, I think, for some of us, because we made resolutions last year and sometimes we don't follow through with them. Sometimes we do. So are there physical and emotion the a year ago today, if you were to fast forward, are you where you wanted to be physically and emotionally? And just take a few minutes to give some detail. And if the answer is no, please detail why. We're on number 6. Okay, I hope you took some time to just really be thoughtful about that process and give some detail on why. Okay, in this section here, we're going to move on to the strengths, values, and goals and your spiritual direction. So in this section, it's really important that you start by listing out your top 5 strengths. So if you don't know your top 5 strengths, maybe the top 3, one great resource that I always give people and recommend is this book called Strength Finders. And so knowing your strengths oftentimes allows you to have a better path for achieving your goals. And so if you don't know your strengths, you don't have to do it from this, but what's cool about the Strength Finders book is that you purchase the book online, it comes to the mail, and you can see that this one has been used. It has this little thing here, and it's folded over. You can't, when this hasn't been used, it's another one under here. It hasn't been used. I probably do, because I like to give this away to people. Yeah, so when you get it, you open it up and you just cut this or tear this section, and inside it gives you a code to go find. Right here, it kind of gives you this code to go take your own personal Strength Finders test, and it takes about an hour or 2. It's kind of long, but it's helpful to learn more about yourself and just to grow. So write down your top 5 strengths about yourself, top 3 at least, and then list your top 5 core values. These are really important as you start to begin to formulate and write down your goals for 2020. So just spend a few times on this section here, number 1 and number 2 in the strengths, values, goals, and spiritual direction section. Okay, we'll move on to number 3 in this section. It says, what are your big goals for this next year? I like to write down my big 5 for the year. So I encourage you here, these are 3 to 5 life things that you must accomplish in 2020 to feel like you're moving in a positive direction. Being an effective business owner, coworker, mom, person, follower of God, and having a deep relationship with Him. This can be work related as far as also physical related. It's very personal to you. And all of these things as Christians would glorify Him if we did them. So spend some time now thinking about, like, what are the top 5 things you want to do this year? You'll see here that it breaks it down for you into physical goals, family and relationship goals, work goals, hobby goals, business goals. So as you do this, like make sure that like if you're saying like, what are your physical goals? Maybe you want to lose 10% body fat over the course of the year. That would go there. Obviously, maybe you have some relationship goals with your husband. Maybe it's not related at all and you need to scratch all of these out and completely just write something totally different. So just wanted to share one of my goals with you. One of my personal goals in our marriage, for instance, is it's been a really rough year. 2019 and 2018 actually were really rough years on our marriage. And so we've committed to weekly. We were going to counseling previously as well, but not like weekly. It would be like every other week, maybe once a month, and just getting there when we can. So we've intentionally scheduled out 2 hour counseling sessions every Monday morning at 9 a.m. With our counselor. And we cleared that with her and we warned her and we said, sorry, you have to start every Monday morning with us. But she was sweet and gracious. But that's been an intentional thing that we have decided to do in 2020 for our marriage. And that is a goal. And I think it's going to make a huge difference. Okay, let's move on now. Number 4 says, what situation or need in your community that most moves you do you want to take action with? What moves you emotionally? Where do you most want to make an impact? When considering this question, make sure that you pray first. We want to make sure that we are saying yes to the right things. As you know, probably you've experienced this all too often, that we offer to contribute in the community or in our churches in ways that really don't complement our strengths. And sometimes we don't enjoy it by the time we're, I don't know, maybe for you that's teaching middle school at classes, Sunday school classes at your church. Maybe you don't love rocking babies, crying babies in the nursery. But maybe you absolutely love feeding the homeless. So think about what actually suits you and what moves you and what you would like to continue doing or start doing in 2020 to be the best version of the hands and feet of Jesus that you personally can. Spend time writing about that. Okay, friends, I'm a big believer in writing things down. I think it's completely game changer when we write things down, we post it, we follow up, we refer back to it throughout the year. And our financial and lifestyle goals are no different. So the next section is all about your finances and your lifestyle that lives within that financial means. So how much money do you want or need to make in 2020? What is your monthly financial goal? Be very specific. Let's spend some time prayerfully reflecting and being really specific on that. Okay, so along with those financial goals that you have, God does tell us to tithe. So obviously, you're going to be giving to your church 10%. But beyond that, is there a ministry that you'd like to financially support? A Christian ministry, a nonprofit? List that in section B. Also, how much and why it's important for you to give to them. Okay. How specifically will you be responsible with the money God allows you to make? The savings, investments, and budgeting. This can include starting a budget, retirement, whatever. What do you need to do to be more specific to dial in on your budget? Maybe dial in on getting debt free and being responsible with the money that God gives you. Spend some time working on that section. Okay, moving on. If there are 5 things you had to do in order to create the lifestyle that you want, what are those 5 things? What specific action steps do you need to take in order to create and achieve those goals? For instance, do you need a new job? Do you need a second source of income, like a side hustle? Are you working too much? Are you working too little? Are you spending too much time on social media? Do you need to read God's word more? Join a Bible study or small group? Sleep more, exercise, eat clean, or go back to college. Or if you're like me, start college when you're 42 years old. So spend some time. This is a big one. I'm going to give some extra time for you. Again, if you are watching the playback, just fast forward me or pause me and do what you need to do to get to this part. Okay, moving on to simplicity. I love this section, by the way. Simplicity, time, freedom, and efficiency. What can you do to make better use of your time? I think all of us could probably say, unfortunately, stay off of social media a little bit more. Last night, you guys, I have to be honest with you, I don't know what happened. I saw this post from an old friend and it didn't make sense to me. And I spent like an hour like stalking this person from like high school to figure out the story that she was actually trying to say. And I thought, what have I done? This person doesn't even, like, I don't even see this person. What have I done? This is like, so maybe that's one of your things. I just wanted to share one of my things is that for grad school, I have a 4-month calendar right here sitting next to my desk. And every semester so far, except for last semester, I have filled out this calendar, put all my assignments in on this calendar, as well as my deadlines for gospel-centered health and podcasts and these kinds of things. I just scratched myself. And I don't know what happened, but in August, I didn't do that. And so I was just lost last semester for like, oh, I've got this assignment due. Oh my gosh, I've got this coming. I've got this coming. I forgot to do that assignment for my gospel-centered health project with my assistant. And so I'm going to be very intentional about putting all of my assignments and my gospel-centered health deadlines on this whiteboard that sits right here, as well as putting it in my personal calendar. I use Cozy. And so I just wanted to share that with you. Why don't you take some time to do number 1, and then we'll move on to number 2. Okay. Again, I love this next question. I love this whole section of the document. This one says, number 2, what one thing should you eliminate from your life because it's holding you back from reaching your full potential as a child of God and a productive human in this world? Oh, that's so difficult to answer. I'm going to share with you my answer just because it's really vulnerable and I struggle with this so much because I'm a night owl. So I put 200%, like literally, legit, I put it in red and I put 200%. I need to stop watching TV at night and replace it with hot tea, reading, because I need to be reading for school, and low lighting so that my brain and my eyes can register that it's time to go to sleep. Like the sun is coming down, our eyes and my brain actually begin to register that. And so low lighting so that I can go to sleep and wake up earlier. This last semester was really, really challenging for me. I had an appendix surgery. It just like boom at the beginning of October, just this appendix surgery just set the rest of my year. October, November, and December were just like no schedule. I wasn't waking up and working out because I had to take some time to work out. I just got really off track. So 200%. Oh, and I got into like a new pattern of watching like Netflix stuff or Prime stuff with my husband before we went to bed. And that's great and all, like once a week at a planned time, maybe twice a week, but not every single night I was falling asleep to television. And it's just not like me. Like this appendix surgery just set me in this like weird course of unorganization in that way. So what is one thing that's holding you back? For me, I am done watching TV every single night. I will be intentional about when I watch TV. Spend some time writing that down. Okay. Here's number 3 in the simplicity section. How many days do you work a week? 3, 4, 5. How long do you want to work? And when do you want to work? How many hours per day? Now, for some of you, you have actual jobs where you go in, they give you a schedule, you follow that. Totally understand that. Some of you are entrepreneurs, you're working from home. Some of you are single moms, you're homeschooling. Some of you maybe do a variation of all of those things. I know women like that. That's awesome. Some of you are like me and going to school and have teenagers. The question here is, let's say you're in a job and they're overworking you, overscheduling you. Maybe you're a nurse and you've been working nights and it's just not helping you reach your goals to work nights. Like I've worked with a lot of nurses who love the pay, that they're 11 to 7, great pay, but it throws their schedule off and it's hard for them to maintain sleep and be healthy. Maybe that's you. Maybe you love that. The question here is, are you satisfied with the amount of hours you're working? Do you need more? Are you satisfied with the amount of hours you're working? Do you need less? To create the simplistic lifestyle that you need to be less stressed, to have joy in your life, and to honor Jesus in the process. Take some time to really, really write about that in number 3 of this section. Okay, let's move on. Specifically, number 4 says, specifically regarding work and business life, what are your best practices that you're doing in that business to create your best working environment? Setting timers on your projects, working in early morning, eating protein in the morning to get your brain moving. What are some of your breakfast? I'm just giving out some examples. Morning prayer, meditation to get your mind right before you get work started, being more organized and having a personal calendar. Like, what are some things that would be helpful for you to have a more productive work life? For instance, one of mine says color-coded calendar with specific times and days. I start an internship this next semester, so while I've been going to school, working on gospel-centered health, and had to really dial into those times that I work on those different things, I'm adding another thing to my life. So I decided I'm going to start color coding. Again, I used to color code when I owned my own business. And I just got to get back to it, because basically I'll be working 25, 30 hours a week now, doing for free, doing an internship for Christian counseling. So I'm just going to have to really dial in on the specific times of my day. There will probably be not a lot of like downtime for just sipping coffee. And that's just because I have this goal of finishing school. So getting back to having a color-coded calendar is something I'm going to do. What about you? Take some time to write about that for number 4. I love this question here, number 5. It says, what are your peak productivity cycles? Like, what time do you work best? I think this is something we forget to ask ourselves quite a bit. What is your peak cycles of productivity? For instance, I know I'm a night out. But if it gets past midnight, I pretty much am just like a goner mentally. I have no business even staying up to work at midnight. Even though I'm a night out, I just have trouble shutting my brain off. But I work really well in the afternoons. So when do you know you work well? Are you a morning person? Like you get up early before everyone else and like get some stuff done? Or are you a night out and you need to protect some of that because you know you need sleep? Give yourself maybe I'm going to stay up and work till 10:30. Kids are going to go to bed at 8:30, if depending on your age of kids. And then I'm going to work from 8:30 to 10:30, and then I'm going to shut it down and go straight to bed. Or for me, I know from about 1 to 4, I can pound it out. So I'm trying my best to do that color coded calendar that I was sharing with you, where I know that I work on things for, like school and gospel centered health, this ministry, during that 1 to 4 period. So what about you? Take some time to think about that. It shouldn't take too long. You know when you work best. Okay, number 6. This number 6 says, what are a few things you need to stop doing? Now, there was a question like that similar when we were reflecting on 2019. But this now is specifically talking about managing your time freedom. So for instance, like if you're a busy working woman or a stay-at-home mom who's homeschooling your kids, what are some things you need to stop doing? For instance, do you need to stop cleaning your house? Do you need to hire a housekeeper? Like, do you just need to just bite the bullet? Do you like what do you the thing that you're thinking of you probably just very much dislike? So what is it that you need to stop doing? It's sucking the life out of you. We can't stop parenting, of course. So I guess you could hire a nanny, but maybe that's something that that like I need to work till 5, so I need to hire a nanny to drive my children around from 3 to 5 after school to their things. And maybe that's something for you, that you need to do. Here's one thing that I have recently decided that I am going to do. We have done a lot of like HelloFresh and like those home box meals, so I don't have to do much planning. It just comes in the mail. That is amazing. But after a while, it was like, those are like gourmet meals. I don't care how dumbed down they were gourmet meals. And recently, my friend has found this service here. I don't even know, like I was just texting her earlier about it. Like, I need to follow up with you. It's like a freezer service. You can pick your healthy meals, gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever. And it's more of a frozen meal service because I'm going to be gone at night now and my family is going to need to be fed. And so instead of stressing myself out and having crock pot meals every single day, I am going to use this new service so that I don't have to always have a crock pot meal ready for everyone. When I'm gone at night, they can pull out one of these healthy freezer meals it's like made fresh. It's not like just from the grocery store, made fresh without a bunch of preservatives and very healthy, but it has been frozen in a container, sort of like if you did that freezer meal thing on your own. And then my kid would pop it in the oven. That is something I need to hire out, and I'm going to. What do you need to stop doing? Cooking? What do you need to stop doing and maybe hire out? That's what this question is. Take some time. It will take you just a second to answer this question. You know. Sometimes it's not just about hiring something out. Sometimes it's about delegating stuff to your children. For instance, a couple of years ago, it dawned on me that there's one of me and 5 of these little humans running around that had become toddlers trapped in adult bodies. That's what I call teenagers. And so I don't do the laundry anymore. We have a system we set up with a whole bunch of laundry baskets, and a kid washes and dries the laundry, sorts it out, and each of my own children is responsible for putting their own things away. One kid puts the laundry in, puts it in the dryer, sorts it out into every person's basket, and I have to put my clothes away and, My husband has put his clothes away, been to, and down the line. So I don't do that anymore. So maybe it's a strategy that you think of as you start to delegate the dishes to your teenage daughter or even your husband. So, what is that thing? Okay, here's some really good ones about books. It says, number 7, what was your favorite book from 2019? I have to be honest and say that my answer here is literally, I read so many school books, but probably my favorite one from school, it was actually an optional book. We didn't have to read it. I ordered it and it was so thick I couldn't keep up with the reading because it was just a recommended book to go along with a trauma class that I'm taking. But it's called The Body Keeps the Score. I finished about half of it reading it. I ended up finishing the other half listening to it. But this was my number one favorite book from 2019. It's a really hard book, but it was part of my schooling. And I know going forward, list the books that people are recommending to you in 2020. Why are these interesting to you? Basically, I'm just reading things for school now. Like, for instance, couples counseling handbook. And so I take a second and reflect on your favorite book from 19 and then list out some of the books that you have heard people say for 2020. Okay, so I love reading books. I hope that you do too. It makes you smarter. It makes you more informed, and it's just all around a great thing to do. So we're going into the conclusion of this now. And so, what are a few Bible verses that you want to live by in 2020? Maybe it's just one Bible verse, maybe it's two, but think of a few. Maybe open your Bible and pick some Bible verses that you just want to be guided by in 2020. Okay, I love this next section, y'all. Like this is where it's at right now. I hope that you're still hanging on. We've been going for about an hour now, but I hope that you're still here. We're almost done. This next question is critical. It is critical. It is a critical question. Would the girl you were in the past, maybe like the little girl, maybe the 20-something girl, be proud of the woman you are today? You're going to need some time. You're going to need quite a bit of time to go through this one. There's a big section for writing about it. Please push pause. And I'm actually not going to take enough time. There's not enough time to answer this question. And so push pause on this if you're following along. And please, please answer this. If the answer is no, then I would encourage you to make some changes in your life that help lead towards that, whether it's health and fitness related, emotional related, mental related, or spiritual related, to make some steps towards moving towards a woman that that little girl will be proud of. That's really difficult, so take some time, just push pause and write about that. Number 3, share anything else you would like to write about in regards to creating an extraordinary Christ-centered 2020. You can share any thoughts, goals, gratitudes. Let your mind just think deep. Again, this is a really big journaling section that you just need to think about. Maybe take a couple of days, write about it today and come back. So I would like for you to push pause on this again and just write and just write and just write, and possibly come back to it after another couple of days and finish it after you've had some more time to pray and think. Okay, so you've been going for a little over an hour if you've been following along as I've guided you through the worksheet. Number 4 says, based on all this hard work that you've done, all this thinking you've done in journaling, dreaming, and praying, now think of one word, one theme word that will drive you, motivate, and define your 2020. Sometimes people think this is like silly and shallow. You guys, I haven't come up with my word yet. I'll have it by the end of January. I will. But I've been thinking on this for a couple weeks. Write that word down here and the actual definition of that word and why you need that word to help you stay the course for 12 months. One word I've been thinking about is persistence. Another word is dedication. Another word is consistency, but I haven't quite landed on one word. Again, take some time to really think about this, journal about it, find the definition, and put it here. Just push pause on me talking. Okay, I have absolutely enjoyed being with you during this time. I hope that you've enjoyed following along into this worksheet. When you go back and review this worksheet, go back to that section that says, what these 2 sections that say, like, wait, let me find it again. In the financial lifestyle area, what are 5 things you have to do to create the lifestyle you want? Go back and review that. I would encourage you to pull that out and maybe put it on a separate piece of paper and post it somewhere strategic. The other one that I think is really critical is number 3, inside of the strengths, values, and goals section. Number 3, it says, what are your big 5 goals for the next year? And it talks about like the physical goals, the marriage goals, the work goals, the hobby goals, the business goals. So take that and condense it down. And then again, post that somewhere that's very visible for you to see and to be reminded and have an accountability. Also put that theme word on a piece of paper and those Bible verses on a piece of paper that's like posted so that you aren't able to just be like, oh, I forgot I did this thing. Like, oh yeah, I made these goals and I didn't follow through with them. Why? Because you didn't follow through with reading them, being reminded of them, and then making a plan to reach them. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Mendy Shriver, and I would love to help you help coach you through any of these goals, especially the physical and mental and emotional ones. I am so excited for your 2020, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you.